This is Whiskey 7 Juliet Mike Papa. Listening to 146 520.
Well, it just might be dead out here.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know, 80 meters isn't dead right now.
Really?
Yeah, I just worked Louisiana and Manitoba.
On, well, not single sideband, or was it?
Oh no, I cheated. No, it wasn't sideband.
Oh, you did the dotted.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah. Digital mode.
Well, you know, keeps the digits worked out.
You are leaving my airspace frequency change.
Yeah, well, cool. That sounds like fun. Yeah, 80's not a real great DXer band to begin with, but, yeah, congrats, have fun.
Yeah, more open than the others right now, that's for sure. I don't know, if you can hear him, it works.
Yeah, I just went spun down there to look and see. I'm not seeing a bunch of stuff down there, but maybe there was earlier.
I was calling CQ earlier. As the reverse beacons lit up all over the country and into Hawaii.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's always fun to see. You're like, okay, well, they can hear me. I used to have the same thing with the FT8. You know, I'd look at PSK reporter and I'd be sending out CQs. I'm like, okay, well, you can hear me in Guam. Why don't you respond?
What channel is this on?
That's like almost every night I do it. It's like, where is everybody? You know?
There's another station there. Go ahead, other station.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, acknowledge last transmission.
Yeah, I know. Does it mean for large or what is it?
GMP, can you hear that other station?
No, I can't.
I barely heard you. It sounds flagging like mobile, real low power. Give it another shot there. This is W702.
So what's the band frequency is it?
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra, please acknowledge.
I can't make out what you're saying. You're a little too weak. Try again. Maybe conditions will change in a minute. Okay, well, anyhow. Well, JMP, well, that's kind of fun. Yeah, I'm no good at the dits and dots. I used to know it real well, and then I forgot it. I got a key a couple years ago, got back into it a little bit.
ATC services
Yeah, I
terminated.
forgot all about it.
Yeah, it's kind of in a way, a niche mode anymore. I don't know, I kind of like it because I work all day on a computer and really can't stand any more of it when I get done with the day.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not a Morse code guy. I just hate the people who are so pro Morse code that they poo-poo everything else, which I think is stupid.
Oh yeah, I think most of those guys are over 70 now.
Yeah. So my first amateur radio license, I had to pass 5 words per minute. And I did it, but then I probably forgot all about it.
Yeah, probably like 90% of the guys. Yeah, I had to pass 5 words a minute to get it to. That was back in 2002. I can't even remember.
Yeah, mine was in 1989. I was like 16 years old in high school.
Yeah, I don't know. Yep, 80 was opened up. That was kind of fun. There's supposed to be a 10-meter contest this weekend. I may May see if that works out.
Yeah, check it out. Those 10 those 10-meter contests have been pretty lackluster in the last few years.
Yeah, we'll see now that there's a couple sunspots. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, and you can get sporadic E on 10 meters too, so there's that. But yeah.
So what's going on in the world of heating and air? Are you planning your trip to Antarctica still?
So yeah, I'm still looking into it. I did some more research and I contacted the company, and right now they're not taking anybody because of COVID is one side of it, and they're not doing any scientific stuff down there. So the need for a huge amount of people is not there. I'm gonna relook at it again next year around September, because that's when they do it. September is, well, you do it in our summer. You do the application process, and then you go down in September. So we'll see how it goes with COVID and all that stuff. That's really put a big damper on it. I mean, there's still people there doing stuff, but it's like skeleton crew. They're not running the full operation.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, we'll see how COVID goes. I heard that we were not promised any more than 170,000 vaccines. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, so I looked. There's a calculator you can find online for Oregon, and it'll say what position you'd be in for the vaccine. And apparently there are 275,000 people ahead of me in Multnomah County.
Oh, I'm not even going to bother looking that up. I'm sure I'm next to last. All I have to do is be on a laptop and can get my job done. So I've been working in the same room since March 13th.
Oh no, I get it. I had to build a whole setup, school classroom setup for my kids. You know, they've been in school in over a year.
Yeah, I don't envy the people trying to do the distance learning stuff. I don't know. My kid's in like kindergarten, and my wife just decided to homeschool her.
Well, at that point, you're not missing anything of the school, right? You know, what they are missing, the kids are really missing throughout all this is, you know, this part of their school education isn't about. They learn a lot of stuff and stuff like that. You know, like my kid can read. She's only 7, but it's the socialization and all that kind of stuff. They're missing that part. And the teachers, if you watch them on the online stuff, they weren't trained to do it this way, you know. And it's hard. And these teachers are working their butts off to make this work. And I feel for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't think any of them signed up for this. Yeah, that's what my kid seems to miss. You know, they want to play with random kids at the playground and snow.
Right. Well, a big part of that is, you know, the meeting random new people, you know, and the discovery. And what do you like? Well, I like blah blah blah. Just like adults, right? Well, this is why adults are irritated too, because they want to go hang out with their friends. They want to go out to restaurants and have a nice meal and blah blah blah. It's the whole thing, but it sucks, and you just have to go through it, I guess. You know, I was reading a lot of stuff. I'm an amateur history buff nerdo. I get really a little hard on for this kind of stuff. But so I researched all the stuff about 1918, 1920 of the pandemic they had then, which is almost very similar to what we're having now. And it was the same thing. They had people who wouldn't wear masks. They had people who were defying the closure order. They had people who were, I mean, it's almost like 100 years ago, the exact same thing happened.
Yeah, I was reading about that, you know, there's people who are going for it, the mask and not. Yeah, I really don't know if we're any better at this than we were then. Oh well.
The only difference now is that our medical technology is way better. Here's an interesting tidbit. So I used to always wonder when I was young in the trade, when I was heating and air conditioning, why some of these older homes would have these enormous boilers in them or enormous furnaces, you know? And this house was built like 1920. You said, why is it so big and so oversized? You don't need this much. Well, I found out why. And it's because of the pandemic that happened in 1918 through 1920. And they knew at the time that fresh air in the home, having cross ventilation, was a key to reducing transmission, just like today. And so I found this actually online, somebody archived it, that the ASHRAE, which is a company, it's not a company, it's an agency that determines a lot of our protocols, how we do engineering for heating and air conditioning. They put out a bulletin that said, like, size the heating equipment in the home or building for the coldest day of the year with the windows open.
Okay, that's interesting that they would put the boilers that big, but I can tell you I like having fresh air. I hate having the windows closed in the winter, and I don't know, I can smell when it gets stale. And yeah, I remember having to explain to my parents early on that, you know, it's in the air, man.
Right, and if you want to see an example of them medical science treating things with fresh air, you don't have to go very far. You can drive up to Vancouver, Washington. At Fort Vancouver itself, there's an old hospital building there, and part of it was moved and pushed to the side when they built I-5. But you'll see that the whole hospital's got porches on it. They have some glass porticos that cover them, but the idea was they'd put the patients out in the fresh air, and somehow they got better.
Yeah, you know, you hear all these, you know, you hear about, at least in older stories, you know, going to the seaside for the fresh air, you know, getting out of the city. I think there's something to it, and I like some of these older houses that are a little bit leakier too. You know, it doesn't necessarily retain all the heat, but I don't know, get good air in there. So I'm with it.
Well, I've owned several of those leaky ass old houses. I'm in one right now. When you buy turn of the century, not turn of the 20th century, or yeah, turn of the 20th century houses, yeah, they leak like crazy. And then you open the Pandora's box of trying to not make them leak, and then you spend a lot of money on insulation and weatherization. But that stuff makes a difference. I really can say it does, because it reduces the energy usage in the home dramatically. Windows, insulation, sealing up everything. Now, we've gone to the level where we seal everything up so tight, now we have to introduce fresh air into the home. And there's a lot of products on the market that actually do this without losing the energy you spend, you know, heating the place.
Oh yeah, I guess some kind of heat exchanger or something like that. Cool. Yeah, I appreciate insulation. Every night I come out here in the winter in my shack in the garage.
Right. And you know why that doesn't have insulation, right?
I'm guessing fumes, but I don't park in here.
No, it's not living space. So therefore, you're not required to insulate it. So of course the builder is not going to spend the money insulating it, right? Although interestingly enough, the framing carpenters also complain that when they look at square footage of a home, they don't include the garage in that square footage. That the framers have to frame the garage too, so they just have to inflate their quote by 20% because they know there's going to be a garage to be framed.
No, that's funny. Didn't know that little tidbit. Yeah. Yeah, whatever. I wear a coat, and sometimes I turn on the little radiant heater, and it's good enough. I don't need to be heating this space all the time anyway.
I used to have my shack in a detached garage. It had no heat. It was pretty miserable in the winter. But I was also running some budget radio stuff that I didn't really care a lot about. Believe it or not, when I built my shack in the basement where I am now, it all came around the fact that I wanted to buy an ICOM 7300. And I'm like, I'm not going to put the ICOM 7300 out in that garage.
Oh, that's funny. I can get that though, especially if you bought it new. I don't know. Right now though, there's not a lot of square feet in this house, and the only place for it to go would be right where I work all day, and yeah, that's kind of nice to be in a different room.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that was one of the beauties of the house I own now, is that it was a completely unfinished basement. So I've added a couple of rooms down here. So I got the shack, and I got a playroom, craft room thing, and then I'm working on building the laundry thing. So I'm slowly finishing the basement, but it's yeah, that's the beauty of having an unfinished basement. You kind of have a blank slate. You can build what you want down here. Yeah, so I've got my man room, I guess you could call it, just like your garage. I've got all my history books and crap all over the place, and radio junk, and yeah, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I kind of leave the inside to everyone else. And then yeah, I've got my little lab or whatever junk out here in the garage. Except she's got her elliptical out here.
So, you know Marshall W7TER, right?
Yeah, we know each other.
So he lives up the street from me. You should see his his basement. He has a whole room full of 3D printer and lab stuff, and he's like mad scientist room down there.
Oh yeah, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I've got this big bench full of radio stuff, and there's wires and components all over the place. I need to clean up the desk, actually. I've had this project kind of barfed all over the desk for the last 2 weeks.
Interestingly enough, on the other side of my shack, outside of the room, is actually a workbench area, and I sort of turned it into there was a period of time where I was actually very enthusiastically building antennas, specifically Yagi antennas made out of aluminum. So I've got like a grinder, a drill press, like all these different tools it's like I have an antenna workshop back there. I think this winter I'm gonna produce a few more Yagi antennas. We'll have to see. I built that 15 element 440 Yagi. It survived a year up there on my tower, so I'm actually surprised.
Nice, 14 elements. Sounds like you need a spotting scope for that.
Yeah, it's only about 12 feet long.
Yeah, but what's the beam width?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you do need a spotting scope. It's pretty. It's kind of narrow. It's about 35 degrees, supposedly, according to the calculator. But nah, I think it's a little narrower than that. I have a 10 element 2 meter beam up there too, and that one is a lot wider than that other one.
Yeah. I'm kind of building out my antenna plans for the next year, because this past year I just got this rooftop tower up here, and I got this mag loop. I've got this doublet going over the roof here, and that works, but I'm going to try to make a Moxon beam for 20 meters and get that up there next year. And then I've been thinking about doing a vertical, making my own vertical for 40, maybe even 80 meters. better yet, doing a pair of verticals for 40 and trying to phase them.
So interesting thing about verticals. I bought a radio from a guy 3 or 4 years ago, and he sold me the whole pack. He sold it to me as a package deal. It was like a Yaesu HD7 with a tuner and a bunch of coax, and it was basically his whole shack. And part of that was a vertical Cushcraft antenna, or not Cushcraft, Hustler, 5 BTV. And I've never put it up. And partially the reason I never have is because it requires this huge amount of radio. And I live on a 50 by 100 plot of land in northeast Portland, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. And then I had a project in mind where I can put it on a metal pole and then do these, you know, for the radios I can do a bunch of these ham sticks, you know, as like a ground plane, you know. And I've just never put it up. It's in my garage, you know. One could say, yeah, I bought it, but I didn't actually buy that thing. I just bought it in the whole package. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still thinking about what I should do with that antenna.
Yeah, the radial thing kind of is what stopped me from doing it vertical at first. That I realized there's no way I'm ever going to get a 40 meter antenna up, at least a horizontally polarized one, up high enough to work very well, even though this mag loop works pretty well at 40 meters. So, and I've been going back and forth between trying to bury radials or maybe even trying to make a loaded vertical dipole. It's kind of crazy, but I don't know. I found that I'm addicted, have a mania or whatever for working on antennas.
Hey, no, that's a good part of the hobby. I'm with you there. That's why I have a small, weird machine shop that says walled Yagi antenna. Anyways, so my solution to all my HF stuff was just to run wire dipole. I bought a commercially made balun. I made my own balun at first. I don't know. I didn't like the way it worked, and the commercial one was only $35 and rated for 1,000 watts. I'm like, measured out the wires, tuned them with the antenna tuner, pushed it up in the air, fan dipole, 10, 20, and 40 meter dipole. I've talked to people all over the world with that wire antenna the last 2 or 3 years that I've been picking up. And I think the top of the inverted V is 30 feet. Perfect for 20 meters. 40 meter it ends a little bit. It's mostly like California, Nevada, and then up in Canada. Doesn't DX real well. 80 meters, I have to wrap it really hard with the tuner to make it work. And even then, it sucks.
Yeah. My main antenna is I just use a ladder line fed thing. Didn't bother with any fan dipole stuff, but you know, I'm in a lot that's not that much bigger than yours, 70 by 100 feet. And what I did was I've got the mast up on top of the roof, and then it's a 130 foot long doublet antenna, and I just have it go into these trees and the ends go straight down. So it loads up pretty easy on 80 meters on up. Works fine on 40, 20. And I actually, this guy, he's given me this, I got from this guy the wire and ladder line for free, and so I went ahead and made a balanced antenna tuner out of this junk that I had. It's worked pretty good. I don't know, I can put 600 watts into it.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, lots to be said about those wire antennas. You know, they do the job. And I remember I was having a QSO with a guy in California on 40 meter, and I said, "Oh, well, what are you running?" And he's like, "Well, I'm running ICOM 7300." I'm like, "Oh, you're just running a barefoot 100 watts, just like me?" He goes, "Oh no, I'm hitting you 1,000 watts on an end-fed wire." I was like, oh, "Okay."
Yeah, I've noticed a number of guys doing that, and I don't know, if it works, it works. I usually don't turn the amplifier on unless it's some DX station that can't hear me.
I don't even have an amplifier. Well, not for HF at least.
Yeah, I didn't have one until August, but this one was a good deal, so I took it up. $200 is kind of hard to beat.
No, I would have bought that too. Or is it a? Well, I'm an amplifier idiot. So I mean, all my VHF and UHF amplifiers are all solid state plug and play, so I don't have to do anything to them. It just go hit the red button or don't hit the red button.
Yeah, that's the thing about this one, you know, it's got tubes in it. Thankfully it worked when I got it. I just had to add some relays to it to get it to switch in and out when I wanted to go back to receive, but whatever, I don't mind tuning up and knobs and all that old stuff.
Well, I mean, there's two sides of doing radio. One is fiddling with a bunch of knobs to make it all ready, and then there's the other part where you push the red button. I don't know. You know, part of it, the reason why I have these amplifiers here too for this is I like to do the VHF contest. I really like doing VHF contests. In fact, I've won the VHF contest in the Oregon section 2 years in a row now. But that's what my whole stack up on the roof is about. That's why those Yagis are there. That's, you know, for the VHF contest only. I use it 4 times a year.
Yeah, I don't have anything more than 50 watts, is it? I don't know, I've got this old Icom 706, and I bought it, this is my push button radio, and that's what I do VHF, UHF on too, when I do it. Yeah, I've done a couple of VHF contests. They're kind of fun. You know, I haven't gotten that heavy into it, but it was fun the couple times I did it this past year.
They're actually kind of boring, slow contests. They drag on for 2 days, but I have fun with them. And what I like about doing the VHF contest is that I'll probably spend, like, you know, the opening day on it at whatever, it starts at 11 a.m. I'll work probably a good bulk of my contacts in the first 4 to 6 hours, and then I'll just run a bunch of stuff on digital for a while, and then I'll just not do any of it for hours, and then come back and revisit it and start racking up a whole bunch more stuff. A lot of it's digital, and then if there's a 6-meter opening, so my phone will alert me if 6 meters opens up, I'll just come down here in the basement again and rack up a bunch more contacts. So I don't sit here for those contests like for 40 hours straight like some of these maniacs that do like CQ or, you know, worldwide SSB or something like that.
I don't think I could ever sit for more than a couple hours doing this. Maybe field day, maybe. That's, I don't know, other people are involved in it. It's different. Yeah, the few times I've done any contest stuff is, you know, an hour here, hour there. Probably helps that kids and all this other stuff distracts me. But if I just sat and did it, that'd be a job.
Well, me, Britt, and Alex, K7ALO, K7BDB, and I did a mountaintop contest one. Those guys had bigger balls than me. I only spent about 14 hours up there. They were there for 2 days doing the VHF contest. And that was just constant. Well, yeah, we drank a few beers and some other stuff up there. But, yeah, constant calling. From 5,000 feet to the Clackamas foothills.
Well, you trip on a mountain doing it. Hopefully they brought their, not auto key or brought a recording for CQ.
We didn't. That's the best part.
Yeah, you're gonna need more beer.
Well, so I think Alex was running the low power segment, and he's running an 817, so it's all voice. I think Britt was running Rover because he was going to take off, and then I was just running regular 3-band like I normally do. So yeah, it was. Actually, I smoked my tuner on that mountain trip, by the way.
Smoke components, that's fun. Yeah, thankfully I haven't smoked my tuner ever, but I don't know, if I try to tune up on 160 meters, it's kind of a high Q situation for the, it's got a resonant tank circuit going on there, and I was playing with this earlier today actually. It's a pretty loud arc. It's got this real big capacitor, you know, maybe gosh, what is that, 1/8 of an inch spacing or whatever between plates, and it's a pretty big spark.
Wow. Guess you didn't notice. Yeah, how I smoked this LGG tuner was running 100 watts 6-meter FT8 through a compromised antenna. I remember Alex, while we were up there, he's like, "What's that smoke smell?" I'm like, "That's my tuner about to catch on fire."
Oh yeah. Yeah, it probably didn't help that you're running a 100% duty cycle.
Yeah, that was the problem. I was pretty new. FT8 was really new at the time when we did that, and so I've learned how to do that properly now, but I didn't at the time. You know, this was like 4 years ago, and yeah, I will not run FT8 to compromise antennas at full duty cycle, you know, through the whole process. That's a 50-second process, and I used to run in JT65, which is like 30 seconds worth of that exact same power put out.